Do you ever feel like you're going through your life feeling like an NPC rather than a main character following your main quest? Maybe you're really good at what you do and get paid well for it, but it doesn't actually feel that meaningful. Or you have an idea of what your dream career is, but you feel like you're chained by golden handcuffs to the daily grind of making a dream that is someone else's instead of yours. Or you might even have a long-term vision, but you lack a short-term roadmap, so you don't feel safe enough to make the changes needed to embark on your main quest. If so, then this video is going to be a big level up for you because I'm going to identify 3 things that are getting in the way of you finding and following your main quest, which will give you more purpose, meaning, and fulfillment in your life. And my last point is going to challenge the advice that you've heard of, but hear me out. Barrier number 1, consuming instead of creating. This is probably the single biggest barrier that I've seen for people who are struggling to find meaning and purpose in their life. Instead of actively creating things and accruing experience points through life, they're passively consuming by more YouTube videos, more motivational videos, more productivity or habit hacks. This is about as useful as watching a walkthrough of a game over and over rather than actually playing it yourself. Now, this might feel safe, but it actually gets in the way of your progress and is actively harmful sometimes because it gives you the illusion of progress and makes you think that you're going somewhere when you're really not. And trust me, I've totally been there. Before I started my second business, I spent months reading more books about manifesting and habits and productivity and the 5 ways to be the best version of yourself and all this shit. Or I see people obsessing over stuff that doesn't actually matter that much, like making the perfect pretty logo or the most beautiful website in the world, before you actually just pick up the phone and call someone who could buy your service or products. That's basically just spending all your time on the character creation screen, getting the perfect hair and making your eyebrows perfect. It might feel like you're making progress, but it's not truly being productive. Instead of consuming or just creating superficial things in the spirit of getting ready, what you need to start doing is, instead of consuming, create things that other people can consume, things that other people value. This could be as simple as just creating a simple app that solves a problem that's been nagging you for a while because it's probably been nagging other people. Or creating a video that shares useful information in a straightforward, simple way. You don't need a fancy setup like this with a lighting and all that. You just need an iPhone to start. Or you can write a simple business plan and call up people in your network to get their temperature on the business plan and what it would take for them to want to invest in your idea. The reason people get stuck in consumption instead of creation is because they're scared, which is okay. I mean, creating is a really vulnerable thing. But if you're scared, the reason is because you're too attached to the long-term payoff, like making a multi-million-dollar idea or having a channel with millions of subscribers, rather than the short-term process. But here's the thing, right now, you just need to start by doing something, anything, with the intention of exploring, experimenting, and getting EXP, not succeeding immediately. Take Steve Jobs, for example. Steve dabbled in a whole bunch of different things before he finally started Apple. He went to a liberal arts college and took multiple calligraphy classes even after dropping out. Then he went to work at an apple farm. Get it? No, that's not a joke. He literally worked on an apple farm. Then he went to India for months seeking spiritual enlightenment. Then he worked at a video game company, Atari, for a while. Now look, on paper, this is definitely not the curriculum you would assign to someone trying to make a $1 trillion tech company. But as Jobs said himself, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. Or stated otherwise, you don't actually know what your main quest is, and it won't make sense until you're already in it. So right now, just play an experiment. Now we can connect the dots for Steve Jobs, but only in hindsight. His time studying calligraphy had a huge influence on Apple's fonts and typography, which had a big impact on distinguishing Apple from its competitors at the time. His time working at an apple farm, which was basically a commune, helped influence the countercultural spirit and free thinking that is associated with Apple products compared to other computer companies. His trip to India had a huge influence on his minimalist design philosophy that still persists in Apple products today. And his time at Atari helped him understand the importance of simple, intuitive design. What made him successful is that he was willing to play and experiment until he either learned something or created something that was valuable. He was a creator, not a consumer. And with this shift in mindset, you can do it too. Now let's talk about the second barrier, which is my favorite because I've been really guilty of it. It's staying stuck on the side quest of self-help and therapy and personal development rather than just progressing on your main quest. Now, to be clear, I'm a big fan of self-help and therapy and personal development, and it's been extremely valuable for me. I'm happier, I'm healthier, and I have higher quality relationships. All of those things have been helpful for leveling up my character overall. Don't confuse leveling up your character for progressing in your main quest, because they're not the same thing. And although leveling up your character can be helpful, it doesn't really matter if you never actually start the main quest. It would be like doing the same level over and over and over rather than just moving on to the new level. So let's say that you're a software engineer who wants to leverage AI in a novel way to make an amazing app. Or let's say you're in sales and you want to start a wellness company one day. At the end of the day, you could read every self-help book, go to every retreat, and do every mantra to manifest your dream reality. But if you don't actually sit down and write some code or call some people who would be benefiting from your services, you're not actually moving forward. And here's the thing that people don't tell you. You will never feel fully ready to follow your purpose. Hell, even when you start following your purpose, you still won't feel fully ready. I am in my purpose and I still feel insecure regularly. So the only solution is just to start before you're ready. And sure, if you're at level 40 and you go into a level that kind of is requiring you to be level 45, you're gonna get your ass kicked a little bit in the beginning. But you'll get EXP much more quickly that way, and you'll level up much faster so that you get to the point where you are the engineer who can make the amazing app that everyone wants to use. Or you are the CEO of the wellness company that's changing people's lives. So what I'm saying is the real solution is not to get ready to follow your purpose, it's to start before you're ready. Because if you start and you can just stay in the pocket, persisting through the discomfort a little bit longer than you think you can, you will get massive amounts of EXP in exactly the areas where you need them, and you will become the main character who is capable of following the main quest that you want. So hopefully that makes sense, but now let's consider the opposite approach. Let's say you want to do all the personal development and read all the books first before you start your main quest. I mean, that's going to help, but it'll be like getting a bunch of experience in a bunch of different stats and skills, some of which you don't actually need for your main quest and are actually just going to be wasted experience. It'll be like taking your EXP points and investing it in a bunch of different areas rather than concentrating it in the areas that are most important for you advancing in your main quest. Sure, training your character overall might increase your dexterity and your strength and your agility. But look, if your purpose is to be an archer, it probably makes more sense to just pick up the bow, start shooting, and get the experience you need in the areas that actually matter the most. Doing the main quest itself is the best way to progress in the main quest. Duh. Now, of course, there may be certain areas where you do need to level up before you're able to progress in the long run. For example, if you're an engineer and you want to be the CEO of a major tech company and managing teams, you're probably going to need to invest some points in communication or leadership at some point. But too often people get so fixated on all the skills that they'll need much later in the game that they don't utilize the skills that they have available to them right now. Instead of focusing on all the things you'll need to know at level 99 when you're the next Elon Musk, just focus on going from level 30 to 31 and then 31 to 32. And definitely don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying the video. And now let's talk about the last barrier. I'm gonna disagree with a lot of what you've heard and tell you, no, you should not just follow your passion. Although your purpose should be something that you're passionate about, not all of your passions will be your purpose. To understand this, let's look at the concept of ikigai. It's a Japanese word that means reason for being. It's basically your purpose or your main quest. Your ikigai is composed of passion, what you love to do, skill, what you're good at, importance, what the world needs, and value, what you can get paid for. If you only focus on one of these things, you're not on your ikigai or your purpose or your main quest. Now, if you're watching this video, it's probably because you're missing number one, passion in your career. And while it is important to focus on fulfilling number one, especially if passion is a stat where you feel the lowest right now, if you neglect the other three, you'll be creating problems for yourself eventually. For example, if you focus on passion forever and you just tell yourself, well, the money will just come, You could end up as a starving artist who doing something that they really love, but really struggling to sustain themselves, which is going to cap the level of contribution that you can ultimately make. Or if you ignore importance, you might be doing something that you love, but the world doesn't actually care about, and you'll lack the actual meaning and impact that you might really crave. And it's important to have the self-awareness and humility to know what you're genuinely skilled at and can see yourself genuinely being world-class at. Because if you keep on trying to force something that you're not actually good at, you'll eventually just get frustrated and burnt out. It would be like being built to be a mage, but forcing yourself to be a fighter. It doesn't actually make any sense. So again, a true main quest will have all four: passion, skill, importance, and value. Also consider this. You might have multiple passions, so how do you choose between them? Let's look at the example of Jack Ma, who at one point had $58 billion and was the 17th richest man in the world. Before becoming a tech entrepreneur, Jack Ma taught English. And although he was passionate about that, he eventually discovered another passion, which was for internet and emerging technologies. And he eventually founded his first tech company at age 35. So it's never too late. He didn't just blindly follow what he was passionate about. He followed something that he was passionate about, but also what he was skilled at, was valuable, and important. And that set him on a main quest that was so much more epic than following a passion alone would have gotten him. Now, to clarify, if you have no idea what to do, for sure, start by just exploring your passions. Passion is a necessary, although insufficient, condition for following your main quest. And I would argue it's probably the most important condition. But think of it like playing a warrior. Yes, strength is the most important thing, but if you don't have some agility, some dexterity, and some constitution, you're gonna have a bad time. So for sure, follow your passion, but don't just settle for that. Purpose is not something that most people just stumble upon. Think of it like this. It's like you have a guidance system that's internal to you, and it's indicating where on the map you should go to find your purpose. But just like in a game, having the indicator is not enough if you don't actually follow it. You have to actually explore the map and go on the journey, and that process is so much funner and faster and easier when you have the right party members supporting you. And that's why I started my guild, to help power level you through this part of your life so that you can enjoy it and get to your main quest. So why would you keep doing the single player when you can do it multiplayer? However you choose to do this, just remember, be a creator, not just a consumer. Don't get stuck on the side quests of self-help, and don't just follow your passion. Godspeed on your quest to unlock your main quest.